No.
Yeah, we'll talk about preamble.
What's up? What's up, people?
What's
The
up?
Seahawks won. They beat the Commanders. They've got a winning record. But before we talk about that, don't click off the video. Just look in the comments. Don't be a degenerate. If you can stick with the preamble, or for the small, tiny minority who actually come here for a Seahawks podcast, freaks, you can just click ahead if you're not offended by me calling you freaks, and click the timestamp where you can skip the preamble. However, you know, our core fan base, they do enjoy a bit of a preamble. So first of all, Griff is fine. He just needs a quick break. But I'm sure I know you've all been quite kind and sent him messages of love you, Griff, and that type of stuff. And, you know, continue doing that. There's no harm in that.
We love Griff too. Big Griff people around here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a professional relationship.
Right.
I
love him in a very professional.
Yeah, between like us, you know, me and you, the listeners. He's right.
Like you would love a mailroom worker.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or
your traction engine driver or something.
Yep.
Yeah,
pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Also, it's my mom's birthday today. Happy birthday, Mom! She's not watching.
Oh, Mama G.
Happy birthday, Mama! Hell yeah.
There you go.
Why is my nose growing? I don't know.
What? Hold on. Now, Ty. Personally, if something like that was leveled at me, there would be bans.
But I'm not the mad king, and
You're not the
I'm
mad
in a
king,
good mood. I'm in a good mood.
Trust me, it's addictive.
My football team won today, so I'm in a good mood. I'm in a forgiving mood, so I'm going to ignore what Jay said and move along with the preamble.
Yeah.
Instead of you know.
So before that, Ty, let's address some chat comments.
Okay.
Vince. Yeah, so the tape review, I was like legitimately ill. Now, you don't want to know the details, but it was nasty. Almost as nasty as that tape. I have a feeling, though, Vince, that some of the issues they had against the Ravens, well, some of them were we did the Cleveland Browns run defense problems. Some of it was that. But also, Vince, some of the issues that they had tonight or today, this afternoon for you guys, those were the same as the Ravens. So we'll probably be able to sync that up if we're organized enough. But yeah, you didn't miss it. I was ill. Griff needed a break. Is on a break. So yeah, sorry about that. I know a lot of you don't have Twitter, and I need to get better at using YouTube for the, announcement comment thing. Yeah. Jen, good to see you. Jay, good to see you. Vince, good to see you. Mojombo, good to see you. Yeah, exactly. Bye week.
That's right.
Oh, very good point. Cadbury supremacy. A purple YouTube picture, very fitting for Cadbury's.
Yep.
You sure you don't want to time out, Jay, for that, Ty? Like, that is very.
How do you feel about this? How about you? How do you feel about these?
Is that okay? Hold on now.
Yeah.
Hold on. Is that a nerd?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
They're nerds gummy clusters. It's gummy.
But they're clustered up. Gummy, huh?
Yeah. There's gummy on the inside.
While podcasting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how I roll.
Yeah. True. Like all the time.
Yeah. 24/7.
Does that work though? Like, it doesn't get stuck in your teeth?
Oh.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Because of how ill I was, I hadn't had caffeine in 3 days, and I've had caffeine today, and it's coursing through my veins. Yeah.
That's right. And no, I do not want to bring down the banhammer on Jay.
Well, hold on now.
Jay's.
But he's just...
What?
It's escalated because there's apparently you're Pinocchio and you're lying about things.
Right. What am I lying about? My love for Griff? I love Griff.
There's a lot of slander going on here. I didn't get Pinocchio allegations.
Again, like, you would love name something. I don't know. Can't think of an occupation right now.
A gardener.
A gardener, yes.
A rose garden.
The way that you would love a fellow gardener, not just a gardener in general. If I was also a
do you guys have
gardener or
allotments?
gardener adjacent, do we have allotments? And what do you mean by that?
Like, so you have a little patch of land that you grow vegetables on.
Oh yeah. I mean, people
do you call it an allotment though?
No.
Right.
That would be like a tiny garden.
No, but like the idea is basically that the council owns this land and they rent out a lot of each of the lands to people who pay like a fee to then have an allotment.
I don't think we have that here. No. Not at least like in my neck of the woods that I'm aware of.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jen would know otherwise, but not too aware of that, Matthew. So you saw a little movie called The Killer, right?
Yeah, I saw The Killer. It's on Netflix. No free ads. It was enjoyable. Michael Fassbender.
Right.
Big Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Fincher.
Right.
I believe you would call it I mean, this is going to show that while I like breaking down the film, I'm no film analyst when it comes to cinema.
But
in the genre category, he's attempting the genre category. Is that a thing? Yeah.
Okay.
It's based on a graphic novel, apparently, French graphic novel, and it was very, very stunningly shot. I'm actually gonna I haven't charted the Bengals defense. I chart the defense every week, but I missed it out. After we've podcasted, I'm gonna rewatch it and chart the Bengals stuff because I feel like there's stuff I missed. But I found it quite funny, and I think that was intentional. I know some people didn't like it because they felt nothing happened, but I felt quite a lot happened. It was just more subtle. But I'm surprised. I thought you'd watched it based on your reply to me, but you haven't. So I would recommend it.
No. I've seen stuff about it, so I want to see it, but I haven't yet.
Oh, but you're in film Twitter, huh?
A little bit.
Oh, you dabble.
Yeah. Little bit of film Twitter. A little, a little bit of Seahawks Twitter, a little bit of Marin Twitter.
And people there's no surprises. It goes as expected. It's like,
right.
That's not accurate.
I'll have to watch so I can see what you mean about the thing that you felt they didn't need to.
No, but I disagree now. I disagree with myself. That tweet was wrong.
Oh,
I agree.
Look at you.
Yeah,
look at you.
It's growth, real-time growth.
Big enough to admit that you were wrong. There were a lot of people on Twitter that were wrong today. They were proven wrong.
There were indeed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that
Hit it, Matty.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where the Seattle Seahawks have returned to winning ways. They've defeated the Washington Commanders 29-26, moved to 6-3 on the season. Great home victory for Seattle in the fact that they actually won the game. They finished the game. And Ty, this is a victory for you because analytics or analytics show that Pete Carroll has actually moved to 3-0 in a certain outfit.
That's right. Today, I heard about 5 minutes before kickoff that, Pete Carroll was spotted wearing a baseball hat. Now, folks, the baseball hat on a certain Seattle Seahawks head coach is what inspired the creation of the definitive Pete Carroll fit tracker in the first place.
Who was that fit tracker created by, Ty?
Yours truly, of course. Find that on my Twitter account.
Yeah.
So sure to check that out. And so I was fully aware of the history with that hat. He had only worn a baseball hat once in his career before week 18 of last year against the
Yup.
Cardinals in 2010, all the way back in 2010. And then won again last year in week 18 against the Rams. And today that streak continued with a walk-off win. Another walk-off win. The win against the Rams last year with the hat was also a walk-off win for Jason Myers and the Seattle Seahawks. So the hat is lucky, folks. The hat is very good, and the hat should stay on, in my humble opinion. Baseball hat Pete is undefeated.
Absolutely huge. I'm so happy for you. And I'm not actually sure about Pete Carroll's fit. I get it's Veterans Day and there's a camo theme, but the kind of what would you call it? Camel? Sandy colored hoodie?
It was
Not
a big
great.
day for the fit tracker. We added a new top as well because of the brown.
New palette, right? Yeah.
I just called it a brown salute to service hoodie in the fit tracker. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't
That
like it
works.
wasn't technically camo. It was just like kind of one color. It was very Carharty. No
And as
frills.
Matty F. Brown,
Right.
you know,
Matty Fit
usually
Brown.
a massive proponent of the color brown, but that shade of brown, no.
Right.
No.
You know, speaking of fits though, see Jake Bobo rocking the full Nike Tech and Tim's? And Tim's?
Yeah. That was nasty in a good way, and honestly deserved a better performance. It implied a better performance. Maybe there's some great blocks that are going to show up on the All-22, because I was thinking this is going to be over 100 receiving yard stat line, like new DK Metcalf narrative, etc., etc. But he made all the noise pre-game.
Yeah. Which was better? Was Tyler's fit better or Bobo's fit? You had to pick one.
Bobo.
Yeah. Tim's in a full Nike Tech.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, Jamal Adams' jacket was very nice.
Yeah.
Probably incredibly expensive.
Everyone was pretty swagged out today.
Yeah.
Leonard Williams was looking pretty like normal.
Yeah.
He didn't bring his A game today, but
no, he had a
before the game.
In the last game. Yeah. So Ty, this was a game where Seattle did get it done eventually. Now, Geno Smith's overall stat line, the Seattle quarterback, of course, reads massive, like 31 completions or 47 attempts, 369 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Sacked just once, 0 interceptions and 0 turnovers for the offense, which is a big deal for Pete Carroll. But really, it was a tale of two halves.
Yeah, it was a tale of two halves. I mean, they only scored 9 points in the first half. They were able to move the ball a little bit, but once again, once they get to the Washington side of the field, they start to struggle, which has been pretty much the story for most of this year. And then obviously a couple of situational miscues, which maybe we'll dive into a little bit further later on in the show. But yeah, the second half it was a much different story. They were Geno made some really big time throws, and in the biggest moments. Now they still weren't particularly good on third down, 4 for 14 on third down the entire half. Not great, but they were able to capitalize on some key situations, like I said. And obviously that big drive, the two big drives to end the game, the one to get a much needed touchdown after the Commanders tied it, and then again to get Myers set up for a relatively easy field goal, an easier field goal than it could have been after the Commanders tied it again, which was not great. And we'll talk about the defense a little bit later on, but yeah, Geno looked like the Geno that we've been waiting for in that second half. I think he made some really nice throws. The big throw for me was the one that he put over the linebacker's head to lock it. That was just a nice ball. So yeah, good stuff from Geno in the second half. First half,
Yeah,
not so much.
he kind of zipped it in. And the way that ended with them needing to get basically in good position twice in the fourth quarter and ending with 13 points in that fourth quarter was pretty significant. I think even the most ardent of Geno Smith believers would have been like, oof, that's asking a lot with, barely any time on the clock, even though they have the timeouts, for them to put together that 52-second field goal drive was really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Now, the third downs are bad again. Now, they want to be over that 50% mark. They only went for 14, which is way below 50%, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so if you look at the 10 they didn't convert, Ty, like reading them out, if I just rattle them off, most of that isn't really a Geno thing. It's kind of the whole offense stalling thing. So,
right.
And I think it's important not to conflate the two. And there's a point I want to make about route mix-ups as well. But just rattling off the third downs, 3rd and 10, checked it down to JSN late, looked downfield for a while. It may have been the way that the cornerback on the outside was like bailing underneath the deeper route. I think it was maybe Colby Parkinson out there. It was kind of off platform, but JSN almost picked it up, and then they got a delay of game, kind of waiting whether to challenge for that or not on the 4th down, which then forced them to kick the field goal. So maybe Gino could have done better there, but 3rd and 5, DK really has to make that catch. Like, he alligator arms it. I don't know if you remember that play, but
it hit off of his
got it back
shoulder.
turns. So I think he underthrows it by design to try and draw a PI flag, but also give DK a chance to just make the bucket catch. And he just clasps it, maybe put off by the hand punch. 3rd and 4, Gino missed Charbonnet on like a 3-man snag to go into the left. It didn't look like it had a chance to me. Like in terms of there was a defender who'd got out from the pick fairly fast, and there was also a corner running up very fast. It would have been close though, because Charbonnet's such a issue to tackle in space. But yeah, I see that side, no problem. And that was, I think, me playing out loud for a second. But yeah, the Charbonnet play, for him to be that inaccurate is concerning, but for him to be that inaccurate speaks to me of a route mix-up, which I'll kind of get to in a second. But if not, poor miss, but I'm not sure it would have had a chance. So maybe that's 1 play total on Gino, 1.5 plays total. If you think about the check down to JSN as well, where he's a bit off target, but then maybe expects JSN to do different, but he was a bit late there. So 1 to 1.5 plays. So then 3rd and 5, tried to throw it to DK in a tight window. He saw a defender with his back turned. He hit DK in the bicep, like the back bicep, so he had to kind of adjust to the ball. Again, I think it's a kind of throw that Lockett would catch, or someone like that, a more natural hands catcher. But yeah, it wasn't caught by DK. It was kind of a matching Tampa 2. I know Mark Sanchez, who was particularly critical of Geno Smith in this game. I know, and the pressure was really ramping up on Geno. So for him to finish his game in the way he did is so significant. But
yeah,
I know he said he could have fit it into Jake Bobo underneath, but like he couldn't really, because the curl defender's waiting at the sticks to then take that back break underneath with Geno's eyes and knock the ball incomplete. Like, really, it's a Geno. At the time, I felt he's throwing that very fast, but it was kind of the throw which needed to be thrown quick with the defender's back turn, like trailing in the high hole to DK. And the ball just fell incomplete. And I felt it's another one where probably harder catch for DK. 3rd and 4, pick play for Parkinson in the zone hole. He didn't quite manage to fall forward for the 1st down. Like, it was a good design. Geno threw it on time, quick. For whatever reason, play didn't get picked up. 3rd and 4, DK was doubled pre-snap, well, slightly post-snap. Then his primary route combination, which he'd hit earlier, of like a drag route with an angle route behind, like what these offenses call like F post or H post or whatever. But if you just Google that term on Twitter or the internet, you'll find it because it's a staple. That was removed by the coverage that Washington was running. He could have accessed that 3rd window to lock it, maybe on the real outside, because you can read that concept in to out. But unfortunately, there's pressure on his left, so he's Geno's front side where he's looking. flashed inside. He tries to move up in the pocket and pick up the first down with a scramble, which he had done on a previous third down, and unfortunately gets sacked. So again, like 1, 2, not much you can do. Sack. 3rd and 7, they had a problem with how they're handling Washington's pressure looks. So they allow a clean rusher up the A-gap. Well, 3rd and 7, that means the play's basically dead on arrival if the primary's not open, and it wasn't. So, or not even the primary, but the nearest route to the quarterback. You cannot let a clean rusher up the A-gap. Now, that could be on Geno and how he's setting the protection, but I think really Washington found a way of messing with how Seattle picks up these things, because what they're doing is the first guy required for the back to pick up was coming off the edge, and then they were late looping a guy against the slide through the A-gap, so a second A-gap guy, and he was just clean through, and they were just killing Seattle. So 3rd and 7, they didn't convert doing that. And then there was another 3rd and 7 where that happened, where JSN looked open for a touchdown pass down a seam, where if Geno has any time at all, then that's a touchdown. But unfortunately, he just had to get rid of it, and he did a good job getting rid of it and not taking a sack there. And then 3rd and 6, they tried to screen to Lockett versus a pressure look. Geno checked into it. They dropped out. I think like a JSN picks that up. Like there seemed to be more room to Lockett's right. I don't know if you remember that play, Ty.
Yeah, that's the one where he
cautiously ran into contact.
That's the one where he. That's the one. Did they actually try to go for it on 4th down there? It was like a yard short.
Yeah, and they picked it up. Gun run to Charbonnet.
That's the Charbonnet run. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's a play that would be that's designed to be better suited for JSN in that situation. Yep. They also threw a screen to DK, which worked to pick up a first down. I think you mentioned that, but I still feel like that should be going to JSN, but whatever. I get mixing up personnel and all that stuff with that, but yeah.
And then finally, 3rd and 3 rub combination where they didn't pick the guy in man who was running with the throw to the flat, like the slide route to the flat. Like Geno got it out there to Noah Fan. I think it was Fan, but it's a tackle for loss. Then that brings up the 4th and 5, which luckily they picked up after, which we'll talk about. So really, that's like 1, 0.5 and 0.5 on Geno, or maybe 1.5 if you want to be harsh. But most of that is poor offensive execution around him for a variety of reasons. Now, he could also, I need to look back at the protection stuff. There may be something he could have done too. But to me, that actually comes down more to like their coaches having a better answer than Seattle's coaches and exploiting Seattle's tendencies for how they've handled that. Now, in terms of like the first half, second half split, statistically, Seattle had 5.6 yards per play in the first half, despite going for 3 for 8 on 3rd down. They only picked up 13 total first downs. Now, the difference in the second half was, even though they're 1 for 6 on 3rd down, so worse, they picked up 27 first downs, and they had 264 total net yards, along with 7.8 yards per play. So 7.8 yards per play versus 5.6 yards per play, and then 27 first downs to 13 first downs is the real difference. And to me, just from like a brief overview standpoint, the offense just felt a bit more balanced to me, Ty. Yeah. Not just with how they ran the ball. Now, this is all kind of anecdotal stuff, but they had 13 rush attempts in the first half. They had 13 in the second half, so that doesn't really reflect. But I think, there's some game script stuff going on there. Like, end of half, they had to pass a lot. End of both halves, they had to pass a lot. But also the way that they sprinkled in play action in the second half and used not just like generic under center boots, but like the for instance, the play that got it all going where Geno checks into a little dump off to Kenneth Walker for a massive explosive play. Manny Pacquiao, nice check. And the defender slips, so they get fortunate, but that's a play action play where it's a guard pull and it's a little dump off. There's no boot, there's no naked. Like there's a pass pro scheme where involving a guard pull. There was a few others, like a little comeback to DK where it just gets him in rhythm and it gets them moving the ball down the field, and it's not exposing the tackles, and it's giving a different look, and it just gives a more balanced feel to the offense.
Yeah, and the 2 shallow crossers, you mentioned the one to JSN when you were talking about the 3rd downs. And
Well,
then the
that's
one,
another thing as well. Not just the play action, but yeah, the involvement of the shallow crosses was cool. But I was just
yeah,
thinking, first half to second half, it felt the main difference to me, because there was shallow crosses in the first half, but the main difference to me in
right,
the second half was the sprinkling in of more play action. It's not that simple, but
right, yeah. Well, and they went for kind of a long stretch where they weren't really running the ball, but once they got back to that, it seemed like the efficiency for the entire offense came. Because they were starting to actually run the ball efficiently with Charbonnet, a little bit more so than Walker, and that just kind of seemed to get everything else going for them. And again, the we saw the play action, and we saw more 12 personnel today than we have, at least from what I noticed.
they definitely sprinkled in more multiple tight end sets than
Yeah,
recent weeks. Even 13 personnel tied, 3 tight ends, it seemed that was appearing occasionally. And
right,
I'm really looking forward to seeing those numbers. Like, it's not like Washington's a defense. I mean, they're not as good a defense as what Seattle's faced in the past 2 weeks, which definitely helps. But
right.
it's not like their massive weakness is multiple tight ends, I don't think. Like, I think that's more Seattle going, hey, you know what worked for us in the past? It was when we were able to get a bit more base matchups, but also use our tight ends to obfuscate tendencies, etc., etc.
Yeah,
And it just had more balance to them. But yeah, to your point
yeah,
about Charbonnet and Walker, Charbonnet 6 carries, 44 yards, so 7.3 yards per carry average. Walker pounding away 19 carries, but only 63 yards, of 3.3 yards per carry average. Walker's explosive play came in the passing game, as I said, that 64-yard reception for a receiving touchdown, which with Seattle down 12-8 at the time, I think 12-8, 12-9,
12-9.
can't have been 12-8, 12-9, yeah.
Yeah, 12-9.
That was
Weird
a
score today.
big relief. And actually scoring a
Yeah,
touchdown, because it had been a while.
it had been what, 9 quarters, I think.
Yeah.
Was the count that I saw on Twitter. Yeah, so that's brutal. Yeah, getting that touchdown from Walker was huge. Bobo kind of springing that a little bit more with the block. Also Lockett on that play. Um, and also in terms of the run game, we've talked quite a bit about the second down runs, especially the second down runs out of gun. They
Hmm.
ran the ball on second down, I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times today. 7-yard gain, 3-yard gain, 5-yard gain, 6-yard gain, 13-yard gain, 1-yard gain, 12-yard gain, 3-yard gain, 1-yard loss, 5-yard gain, no gain. No run longer or on distance longer than second and 10. And on second and 10 were the 6-yard and 5-yard gains that I mentioned. So a bit more success, at least in terms of the like they're still running it quite a bit on second down, but more success there. So
There you go. Now, Jay asks, thank you very much, Jay, for the donation. Do we have a Shane Waldron problem? I feel like the Seattle offensive coordinator has no feel for the flow of the game. It seems like he has the plays he's going to call no matter what. So if you want to donate, there is a super chat feature, no pressure. But I mean, we tried to read comments anyway. But if you really want your comment read, um, donate. There's also a Stripe link if that's easier in the comment section. Now, I think, Jay, there's something we spoke about in the past on this podcast of how Waldron has specific plans for each personnel grouping Seattle has, each formation plans, like a kind of a bucket of plays within each thing. And when it's not working, it can appear sporadic because he's trying to set up new tendencies off that. But when that doesn't work, they can't get to the new tendencies because they don't have enough plays, and it kind of ends up in a real kind of discombobulated mess. But today it did feel really random again in the first half. I think what I've noticed, just kind of overall, again, kind of anecdotal, but when Seattle can't run the ball, like things really, really are tough. That they just kind of melt apart because then it just felt a lot more fluid in that second half. Just such a basic thing to say, but when they were able to run the football, when Charbonnet was sprinkled in, as Ty was talking about, and
yeah,
their usage of play action off that, it was really, really impressive stuff. And Gino looked more comfortable. Then suddenly stuff gets open off play action, and I know that sure, how effectively you run the ball may not set up play action, but it certainly had a rhythm to it, which felt more Seahawks football. And like, you know, even that deep shot to Tyler Lockett, like that was there. It was just a narrow miss where the defender kind of got away with a hook.
Yeah.
Could have called it, could have not.
Yeah.
But like it felt more Seahawky, and it's like Gino can do this. You got to support him, and that kind of brings me to Pete Carroll's comment after the game, where he's really keen to be pointing out he Geno Smith doesn't have to be the whole show. He needs to be the point guard and be in the middle of it, and he was exactly that today. Now, in past games where Seattle hasn't been able to run the ball effectively or kind of hasn't wanted to, then you know, Geno struggles. So that point guard comment, it's not the first time Pete Carroll's mentioned that, is it, Ty? And
No.
we saw a point guard today.
Yep. And again, like, and the point guard is not just a ball facilitator, right? Like, he does have to make some big throws at times, which Gino is more than capable of and did today. Like, sometimes it is going to fall on his arm talent. And so, you know, we saw that this afternoon. But for the most part, yeah, when this offense is cooking at its 100th percentile, it's Gino's getting the ball out. It's getting the ball out quickly, and you know, the ball carriers are making things happen. Which, by the way, we should mention this was a really good game for them in terms of, you know, yards after the catch, which hasn't been a huge thing, especially for guys like Metcalf and Lockett. But they, you know, it wasn't just getting the ball going down; it was making like on the Metcalf catch to set up the field goal. Like the extra bit of yardage there that makes that field goal, you know, that much easier for Myers. So that was huge. And again, the screen success now, they're starting to kind of figure that out with a bit more consistency. And it's, you know, quite a few guys. So yeah, they're I feel like they're starting to find themselves. You know, it does still feel kind of siloed with Waldron, especially like again that extended stretch of time during this game where they did get away from the run. But hopefully, this is a step in the right direction in terms of being more Seahawky, like you said, right? Like with the, you know, stretching the field a little bit, like they did on the Lockett throw. You know, more run, more play action, building off of the run. And it seems like they have a little bit more of a mix they like there between Charbonnet and Walker in terms of the run styles and what they want to do and what kind of run schemes they want to run with each of those backs. Because like today they were finding some success off of Cross's inside hip with Walker. They hit a couple of pretty decent runs on that front. So again, it's only one game, right? And the offense, and really, it's only been one half because the offense still struggled in the first half today. But it does feel like something to build upon. I mean, this was a great opportunity for them to get right. This was a great get right opportunity, and they, it seemed like they were kind of fumbling it in the first half. But I think there's some stuff here that they can really build upon heading into LA next week. So we'll see. But yeah.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is Pete Carroll talking after the game about the third down opportunities we spoke about and how Gino made some tough throws, and there was a couple of balls. And then he kind of talked about how receivers make mix-ups. So he said, there's a couple of balls, you know, he throws to the fans. It looks like, oh, what a terrible throw. And my timeline was certainly letting me know that that was an awful throw from Gino. And the receiver kind of pulled out and tried to adjust what he was seeing in coverage. So it looks like, you know, like the throw's bad. We have to work together. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody's got to help. It's not just a one-man show. And sometimes guys make some decisions that don't work and don't work for the quarterback, you know. And, you know, you look at him like he can't throw the ball to anybody. So it's just a matter of getting better and staying with it. Basically, receivers, there was a few mix-ups. Now, that Charbonnet throw to the flat could have been one. But as much as Sanchez was kind of willing to pile into Gino, and, you know, he's doing his job. He's analysing the game. But it did feel very critical, and it's kind of a sign of how the narrative's changed around Gino from a national perspective too. But I felt he covered that Noah Fant play well, where off play action, Gino throws it, and it looks like he's completely missed an open Fant. But then afterwards, it looks, you're like, did Fant stumble out of his break? And then you're like, Well, Gino clearly expected him to keep running. And this is not the first time we've seen receivers break off routes or not run the type of route Gino was expecting out of their cut. And my belief is that as Sanchez kind of broke down, that was like a cover 2. There's space between the half safety and the cloud flat cornerback in the honey hole of the coverage to thread it like outside the numbers or, in that kind of sideline shot hole. Whereas Fant nestled down as though he thought he had cover 3, and there's a disagreement between the two of how that should break. And really, I mean, the quarterback's the one throwing the ball, so he's the one who's right. But for whatever reason, and I asked Pete Carroll about this on Monday, whether it was, what they need to strip back the details of this or more clearly define them because it's happened so often. And he kind of mentioned how veterans have missed practice, talked about the intricacies of the passing game, and also mentioned the youth of some of the young guys and how the old guys need to help them. But Noah Fant shouldn't be doing that. It's ridiculous. So to me, the offense is a bit complicated. And this is something that Griff has spoke about a lot as well and spoke about in our DM today.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like there's quite a bit of miscommunication there. And it's like, I mean, we're not there in the building, but is it a Sanjay Lau issue? Is it a Greg Olsen issue? Is it a combination?
The context being Lau, Greg Olsen is in his first year of the team. He's obviously the quarterback's coach, but and then Lau returned to the Seahawks last season. But I like how Pete Carroll allowed the defense to go really ambitious last season and perhaps over ambitious by his own admission. Perhaps this season the offense has gone overly ambitious with how they've tried to build in route adjustments. Now, every NFL offense has route adjustments because you don't want the defense to have a thing where your concept, if you've got slightly different look to what you're expecting or slightly different techniques or whatever, to be dead. Like you want to be able to get out of bad plays. You want to be able to attack different structures of the defense and have it's never going to be a complete perfect play, but you want to have a bit more variety, a bit more spice to it. And I think maybe Seattle has taken that a bit too far. I mean, the evidence is that it keeps happening. Like, it's not just tight ends, it's not just receivers, it's not just rookies, it's not just veterans, it's not just one player. It's a multitude of players each damn week. And
we're 9 weeks in. And we're 9 weeks in at this point.
Nine
or nine games.
9 games, 10. Yeah.
Oh,
over halfway now officially. And they are 6-3, and I think this is a theme we'll talk about at the end, Ty. But it's a positive because it's happening now, so they can correct it. But if you want to win the NFC West, if you want to go far in the playoffs, you have to correct it pretty soon. And it's kind of crazy that something like that happens in the NFL. It's not just one concept. Like it happens on. It's not like it happens only on play action bootlegs or it happens only on gun 3-step drop. No, it happens
every concept.
A lot. Like we've seen it on a whole variety. Like I said, lots of players, lots of concepts. So weird.
It's like it's what was it last week? I think it was last week where Gino and Lockett they were discussing afterwards, and I think there was one where
the
there was one play where Gino had to. The curl route where Gino's like, no, you need to bend that down more. And so they're just clearly not on the same page in terms of that stuff. And so, that's something that they have to get figured out soon because they get one more. I mean, Rams games are never easy, but relative to what's coming up afterwards with that 49ers, Cowboys, and then I think 49ers again after that stretch, they have to get this thing figured out within the next week.
And the fact that it keeps happening, I don't know. Pete just I don't know. It'd be cool to nail him down a bit more on that, be a bit more precise with a question. Maybe I can do that after the Rams road game. Now, where are we at? Well, I guess, Ty, that's all I've kind of got on the offense. We need to credit DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, don't we? So, DK Metcalf comes up big down the stretch. He catches a final stat line of I had it. Here we go. 7 catches, 98 receiving yards, 14 average. Didn't have a touchdown, but he, in particular, on that drive where he's catching in breakers, they know it's coming, drawing the 4th and 5 PI flag from St. Just, getting his hand on the football to kind of prove it was catchable. Big kind of receiving target, looked good in the hitches. It is quite amusing how his route tree is very, very obvious in each situation. Like on 4th and medium, you know he's running an in breaker if your leverage is giving that, or you know he's running a comeback. You know, off play action, you know he's running a stutter hitch or go or a post or potentially a race route, which, you know, that's 4 routes, but compared to some NFL receivers where they can run the whole clock, DK ain't going to do that. It's amusing. And when you really tap into tendencies, DBs can cheat it, and St. Just almost did that, and better DBs will do better. But DK had a great game, and it's funny because Ty, it comes in the wake of certain rumors, which I don't know if we do we have to cover them.
No.
I could go deep into the research.
No, the research made us go, wait a minute, but you did talk to some people, and it seems like that is not a thing that happened.
Yeah.
A thing that was rumored.
Basically, chat, someone on Reddit posted that a big wide receiver had punched a certain quarterback in practice. Then, you naturally dig into that account, and they are into some wild things.
Wild stuff.
Like wild things. Like
Matty saw some shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was bad. But they also happened to post that the Seahawks changed their defense in week 6 last year, and they heard it from a coaching staff member, and that is nuts because that's very accurate and it was something we spoke about on this podcast, but we only spoke about it like the next week after watching All 22. We didn't speak about it immediately. So that is kind of a random guy who, like, it's kind of proof of concept, along with the fact that they had some sneakers, which is from a former Seahawk who may or may not be on the staff right now. The dots do align in that sense. So there's that was worrying. Then DK's missing from practice with a hip thing.
Well, I'll just say
he has been dealing with a hip thing, but it's just weird that he was a full participant, and then
I'll just say this: if something did occur between receiver and quarterback, both parties did a very good job of making it seem like nothing was going on today.
And it's and you can say it's proof of Pete Carroll's amazing culture, and they patched it up. But yeah, that week 6 thing was terrifying. Anyway, less of that. Also, Tyler Lockett, unbelievable game, gets absolutely rocked by. I don't think it's a dirty hit, but I mean, it's kind of dirty because ultimately it's a bang bang play, and the defender finds it hard to get out of the way. But it kind of falls on the coaching as well.
It didn't really seem like he's trying to get his head out of there.
Head, right, exactly. Your head is going to get there's certain ways to avoid that type of hit, and certain guys are better at it than others. Like as Spoon has shown, compared to Marcus Blair's head occasionally got involved, but that was really kind of face on, and that's why New York called in, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna eject this guy."
And from what I've seen / heard over the last few weeks, Forbes is kind of an issue on the field. There's been some issues there. So
talking to Mark Bullock, sounded like he was susceptible to the double move, and he was very aggressive coming downhill. But I don't know if I didn't really hear any dirty stuff. Is that what you're implying, Ty? Or?
Yeah, I've heard. Well, I don't know about dirty, but I've heard some character issues on the field, especially when things aren't particularly going his way. I don't know if that, if it's kind of a personality thing there. Like if he, if he was actually trying to go head to head there, but I don't know.
Yeah,
To me, that can go either way. To me, that like in terms of the ejection, because it's so hard to interpret really what's going on there.
it is.
But to me, it didn't seem like there was even an attempt to get his head out of
No.
the way.
That being said, the last angle that they showed,
Mm-hmm.
I felt was like less damning. It was like, oh, like that's unfortunate. Anyway, and then you go ahead a few plays and Charbonnet's punishing defenders and he's literally running bang with his head right into another defender's head, and it's like into a tackler's head, and that shouldn't be allowed. As cool as Charbonnet's physicality is, don't get me wrong, listener, chat, but it's not fair on defenders when running backs are still allowed to do that, and he'll probably get fined. But how are you going to eject one guy and then not eject him because he's literally out there headhunting, basically?
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want physicality to go out of football. I love big hits, but
Yeah.
there's a way of doing it now, and that's the sort of thing he'll get fined for because they don't like it, but yet they don't eject him. So it is what it is. Anyway. But it was cool to see Tyler Lockett get up from that hit, be sat out, and they take the proper procedure and check he's okay, take him to the blue medical tent, take his helmet off, monitor him for a while. He's fine. He goes back in the game, has an absolutely outstanding game, 8 catches for 92 yards. Gino, as you mentioned, Ty, finding him in the zone holes, rifling in throws on curl flat concepts, Hank concepts, that type of stuff. And then that touchdown where the sprint out, the kind of front pylon throw, low to Tyler, as they've done in the past. Tyler proves reliable once again, and nice that kind of a redemption as well, because they tried that against Cincinnati and Tyler tried to bend it back in, and it kind of rather than breaking it out, and one of those plays where receivers not kind of breaking in the way that maybe anticipates, and the play goes dead. But here, Tyler makes the play as he has done in the past, and so damn reliable to make that receiving touchdown, and a big one at that.
Yeah, no, he had a great game. There was also the really nice play down the sideline. Just really good throw from Gino, and a really nice route from Lockett to get open there on the sideline on the comebacker. Yeah, Lockett was. I mean, the entire receiving corps today was fantastic.
Yeah. Jay points out about the fact that the Washington DB made that hit running away from the line of scrimmage have anything to do with getting ejected. Yeah, probably, because it's a blind side. He's not, you should have your head on a swivel, but you're not expecting that. So
yeah.
Right. Fats,
Defense.
Thank you very much for the donation. How can
Thank you,
people support
Fats.
the channel? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, 5-star review, comment down below, follow the Twitter at Seattle Overload, follow Ty at Dane Gunzlers, follow me at Matty F. Brown, follow Griff at C-Mike's Spin Move.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Fats. Right, so defense, Ty. Now, they conceded 26 points, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, it's so weird. So Pete Carroll said, like, if you move like basically 2 very similar plays, then they really had nothing. Which it's kind of true. He's hyped.
I mean, they really had nothing until the final 2 drives.
Right, which we'll get to. So I think the concerning thing for me was the so we'll deal with the final 2 drives in a second, but the 2 plays Pete Carroll talked about was essentially, so Seattle in this game was trying to send a lot of pressure because Washington's such a quick passing game, so they're trying to send pressure to speed up the quick pass, so their zone doesn't get picked apart, but they're also not playing man. Send pressure, make Hal throw hot, and hopefully he throws hot into where you're dropping out, so a fire zone. But because they're so spread out and so because they're so good at it, rather than sending 5 guys, what Seattle was doing was sending creepers. So essentially just showing 4 guys down at the line of scrimmage, dropping one of those guys down at the line of scrimmage out, and rushing, so replacing him with a guy at the second level, sending 4 guys, or they were running sim pressures, so they were showing pressure at the line of scrimmage, and then only rushing 4 guys, dropping 1 guy off. Idea being that it gives them, better spacing for the spread stuff, but they're still getting a pressure effect, so they're still forcing the ball to come out quicker, so they're less stressing their coverage. Problem is how, one, Sanchez made the point that he couldn't see over the line, which I kind of saw show up a bit. But 2, he just likes getting out the pocket and trying to throw to the flat. And when you're running those like simulated or creeper pressures, a lot of the time how Seattle does it out of their 4-man front is they have Boye Mafe or the weak side outside linebacker peel with the running back, because if they're trying to play certain coverages, they're trying to plug everyone into the right zones while sending 4 guys, 1 guy dropping off being the backside outside backer, then the easiest, in theory, way to do that is have him on the running back, because if the running back stays in, then that guy can still pass rush. Now, this is all kind of generalized terms, and we'll look at the film later in the week, but the running back for Washington kept releasing out the backfield. They were very confident in playing just 5 guys, which again is a reason to run the scheme that Seattle was running. But Seattle, when the play was like, when the quarterback had executed his drop, they were covering everything up pretty well. The problem was when Howell was then breaking the pocket, if that guy's dropped off with the running back and Howell's really quick, there's no edge player. Now, the edge player has to kind of be the D tackle who has to kind of loop to contain Howell in the pocket. But that happens kind of late and Howell's already got the edge. And then the problem was the edge defender who dropped into coverage with the running back, he didn't know whether to go and get Howell or then turn and peel with the running back down the field and play it like man, turn his back to the quarterback, let someone else play the quarterback, and maybe the quarterback scramble for the first down. And really, the first time where Boye Mafe did it, I think that is still an issue of you've got to coach the details. Like, you've got to tell him he is essentially on that play responsible for the running back all the way down the field because of how everyone else is run off, because of, other people playing with zone eyes, and that being an important responsibility. But you can allow it to happen once. The first play to Brian Robinson. Now, the second play is ridiculous. I just don't know why you wouldn't coach up the details. I know they're caught in 2 minds, but just coach up the details that you look, hey, when we run this play, when we run this creeper or sim pressure or whatever, I have to man turn with the running back and take him all the way down the field when the play breaks down. Otherwise, it's a touchdown or a big play. And they didn't do that, which was, it's very preventable, but it's disappointing, and it's sloppy details, and it's not the details that a good defense or elite defense plays with. And the details recently, like the Ravens game, the Browns game, heck, some of the Cardinals game, they're getting a bit kind of loose with. And it's kind of, I mean, the second Robinson catch, Ty, was flashbacks, right?
Yeah, no, it wasn't great. I was my eyes started twitching, my stomach started hurting, and it wasn't fun. The first play too, I mean, like, Jamal almost gets the sack there. If he's able to, wrap him up there, I mean, that doesn't happen. So there's just some execution stuff there too. But yeah, aside from that, though,
Jamal Adams after the game took accountability and said, "I should have got the sack. I got too excited," or something to that effect. So yeah,
that's been something that we've seen a few times when he splits through the A there. But it is what it is. Again, like you said, like they like Boye in that situation has to be better. He needs to stick to the running back more than he did in that situation. But outside of that, though, they didn't really give up much, like Pete said, until again the last couple drives. I think, what was it, 4 3 and out in a row? 3? Wrong?
Sorry, you broke up then. What did you say?
Sorry, was it 3 3 and outs in a row? 4 3 and outs in a row for Washington? Or there was the fumble and then punts. Yeah. Three and outs in a row. Punt,
That's
punt,
right.
punt. Yeah.
And then
After the field goal that made it 9-3.
Yeah. And to Pete Carroll's point, like that first drive, 12-yard play, 2-yard play, 51-yard touchdown to Brian Robinson. And then the second Brian Robinson play, that was after the 3-and-out stretch. 1-yard play, 48-yard play to Robinson,
Right.
minus 8-yard sack, and then a field goal. So, like, it was those two plays until the
last two drives. So the first of the two scoring drives, the Commanders, like before that, I think Robinson had like 10 yards on 5 carries. I don't know what Gibson had, but they weren't really running the ball much, and when they were running the ball, it wasn't for any sort of efficiency. But then they broke off 2 pretty big runs from Robinson, and
a 15-yard carry and a 12-yard carry.
Yeah, and then Gibson, I think, had like a 7 or 8 yard carry to put them at 40, at Seattle 40. After that,
a 5-yarder, and then on the first drive, we had a 5-yard carry. And honestly, like I think a lot of that was they found a good run. It was something that they had success with in the first half. It was like the one run that they hit, kind of, where they, via the kind of offensive formation, the set that they got, they managed to reach block Frank Clark in a way that was difficult for him. But also Frank Clark, is quite apparent that he hasn't been in the system that long.
He's struggling.
There's a lot of details that Seattle's edges have to play with. They're the kind of stars of the show, and they're the most important players in this team, and the scheme is designed to accent them. And he's just, one, he's probably rusty anyway, but 2, he didn't have a whole offseason in this system, and he's really kind of coming from behind in that sense. And so it's tough out there for him.
He looks a little light in the ass, too.
He does. So there you go.
Yeah.
Now, on that first scoring drive, there was a 16-yard Robinson. Oh, but that was on 4th down, right?
Oh, was that the Texas concept?
Damn, I don't remember that play. But the touchdown was the
one where you came across Brooks's face.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think that was that one.
And then there was a 9.
No. The 16-yard, was that to McLaurin?
No, it was to Robinson.
It was to Robinson?
The first end of game scoring drive.
But you said on 4th down? Because I remember
it wasn't on 4th down. I don't think. I think that's.
Okay. I thought you said it was. On
yeah, I don't remember that play though.
So then that's that was the Texas concept.
Okay, I don't even remember that play.
Yeah, and then the touchdown was right after, I think.
Yeah, so the touchdown to Gibson is a really good call from Eric Bieniemy, where Seattle plays cover 1. They put the back to Bobby Wagner's side, and Bobby Wagner matched up in man coverage on Antonio Gibson. Yikes, that's not going to get it done.
Yeah.
And it's still a tough matchup for Brooks because he's dealing with a hamstring. Gibson is very fast, kind of got that receiver skill set almost. And that's not good for Wagner though. And so that's how they get touchdown. Then the second drive, super disappointing because that happens in a situation where it shouldn't. But it ends with a 35-yard touchdown to Brown. And it's the same. Well, actually, there's a theme to both these. So that comes on a similar concept, like a deep snag concept, where they have 3 condensed receivers. Seattle's playing cover 2 on that side of the field, so Washington kind of knew what they were going to get in that situation, where it was a long situation, and Clint Hurt often in those long situations does play that. And I'm sure Washington would have had alerts to the line to check into if they hadn't got that look. So, it's a good play for what they got. But maybe Seattle could disguise better moving forward. Anyway, out of the condensed bunch, one of those guys is going to run into the flat. One of them's going to run deep but kind of inside stem curl route, and one of them's going to run a deep inside stem over the ball route. So it's just Hank, but it's out of the condensed spacing. So what happens is the cover 2 corner, he expands out with the flat route. The inside curl defender, which is like a Witherspoon, he's going to step inside with the inside release of the guy running the over the ball route. And what that means is it creates a vacated hole for the guy running the inside kind of curl route, which is what they hit to Brown. Now, that requires pass protection, and Seattle's pass rush on that play didn't work for whatever reason. It was really disappointing. I think they got chipped, and afterwards, Boye Mafe spoke about the variety of chip protection that Washington used and how that was difficult, but that wasn't good. And it's just annoying because that Seattle was giving that play up before. I'd also say the way that they play, like on those, whenever they're in like middle field open, Bobby Wagner very rarely is like playing deep or matching anything. He's just sitting in the middle low hole. Like the one way you could free up Witherspoon a bit more and push him over a bit more to that window to the one curl is asking Wagner to do some different things. So
wasn't he rushing on that touchdown, Wagner? I feel like I saw him at the line of scrimmage when the ball was thrown. Could be wrong. But I wonder if that was one of those situations where it's, it's still send 4, drop 1. But Bobby was the one they sent.
He could have been. But yeah. If that is the case, then that kind of is a similar point in that either you have Wagner drop to that hole or you blitz him. He was. My apologies. But it was a simulated pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jordan Brooks is kind of dropping there. But really also Witherspoon, it's just the coaching as well. Witherspoon has to push more kind of into his landmark. He's just not in the right spot. And then the other, so they've been beaten on that play before though, on the cover 2 side of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the first touchdown to Wagner, the fast 3 thing, and we saw it in this game with crossing routes and Wagner having to take them back and getting picked and rubbed. Like when they release the back out the backfield and it's 2 eligible receivers, so it could be a receiver and a tight end or a receiver and a receiver, whatever, but 2x2 stuff. When the back comes out fast, that's what we call or releases on route immediately after the snap, that's what we call a fast 3. And that stresses coverage because there's 5 out in the pattern, there's 3 to one side. It's stretching them to, in that aspect. It's an extra guy to worry about. And Seattle's ways of handling that have been, they found it tricky this year. Saw that against the Ravens too. And with how Wagner's deployed as well, like with kind of just dropping to that area sometimes, not really asked to do too much that often.
Yeah.
It becomes a limitation at times. Also just the fact that he's unable to, like, there's not as much recovery speed, there's not as much lateral agility, etc., etc. So,
he had a couple of pass breakups today though, so give credit where credit is due on that front. But overall, yeah, we know the limitations of what having Bobby Wagner as your starting mic is or are. So. Yeah.
So, I guess Witherspoon played really well, didn't he? He popped off the tape, the broadcast. He had
I think he had 3
that amazing
breakups.
Forced fumble.
Yeah, the forced fumble, which
where he ripped that ball out.
Sam Howell is to steal a phrase from you, and I'm probably going to paraphrase it and butcher it. Juggling his cabbage.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I use that all the time.
Yeah, that's classic.
He was juggling his cabbage. Well, he wasn't even juggling it. He was just like merrily skipping with his cabbage.
Yeah, and
come and take my cabbage.
And Spoon did.
Yeah.
So yeah, once again, Spoon just making plays, right? I mean, it's just kind of becoming
3 pass breakups as well, Ty.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Really nice game from him. Aside from what was potentially his fault on the Brown touchdown, but yeah, really good
There you
game
go.
from Spoon.
Boye Mafe, he continued his remarkable streak of sacks, 7 sacks
It's a
in a row
record
now,
now, right?
which is a franchise record. It's not a league record, is it? 7 sacks.
I don't think it's a league. I don't think it's, but I think it's a. I think they said on the broadcast it was a Seahawks record. So that's cool.
Yeah, very
Um,
very impressive.
yeah. Leonard Williams got his first Seahawks sack.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yep.
It was weird. I just can't believe they gave up 26 points because like it felt in control until it didn't. Like that last touchdown, I was like, "Whoa, yeah."
Right. Well, yeah. Also, yeah, because like they almost had the pick on the play right before that.
Right, and where Diggs, I mean, it's bulleted in, and he has to adjust to it, but it does hit him in the hand. Well, he gets his hands on it.
Yeah, but it felt at that point like it was like, all right, like 3rd and 10.
Right, and that's
like,
the football they want to play, like loud crowd, like they know they're passing.
Yeah, that was disappointing. It was disappointing, and it's again, it's really weird to like.
And the tackle from Diggs was a bit, and he's been hitting guys, but the tackle wasn't great.
Yeah, the last like aside from the last couple of drives though, like I felt like they played really well today. Aside from the the two plays to Robinson, but like but yeah, to look up and see that they scored 26 and the offense kind of had to bail them out there at the end, like it's a bummer because I thought it was overall like a pretty good day before those 2 drives.
Yeah. Well. Well. Right then. I guess we should also credit Jason Myers, who kicked those field goals.
Long enough.
It did. Yeah. He kicked those field goals, including a game winner.
It's 5 for 5, right?
Yeah. I like how he praised the first game-winning snap of the Seahawks long snapper.
Crystal.
Legend.
Right.
Yeah. But
like the greats before him, like Nolan Freeze and Clint Gresham.
Yeah. Good for him.
Never forget.
There you go. Do we have anything else?
Let's get some special teams breakdown, Matty. Good snap, good hold.
Laces out.
Right. Mm-hmm. Good blocking up front.
Quite central. Didn't slice it or.
Yep.
Hook it. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of a gloomy kind of. Was it a windy day?
It was wet.
Yeah, it was wet. It was a little wet. So.
There you
go. He didn't have a field goal attempt longer than 45, but still, hey.
No. That decision to kick, to go for on 4th and 5 rather than kick a 57-yarder was sound. Per Monjombo, it's extremely windy here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monjombo.
So there we go. Very impressive afternoon then for one Mr. Myers.
There you go. So Ty, at 6-3, finally, is this Seahawks team a good team?
Fraud watch? Question mark?
Fraud watch? Fraudulence?
I think they're a good team, and I think they're a team that the reason why I say that is I think they're still more than capable of being a lot better than they have been. They just they got to figure their shit out, but like they're super talented. Like the offense is incredibly talented. The offense to me has the personnel capable of like keeping pace with really anyone in the league.
Yeah, I think we kind of undersold JSN today. Like just seeing him catch like those crosses was really exciting.
Yeah. The shallow cross, more screen success with him.
Like, screen success in general, Ty. But
screen success.
Yeah, the offense is loaded, and like the pass pro today again should have probably praised that. That was really damn solid. Gino only got sacked once. They had that issue with A-gap rushes clean up, like the two plays we've mentioned. But other than that, Gino had basically as long as he could have wanted, you'd think.
Yeah. This was also a really big win for them in terms of the, just playoff picture because the Commanders are one of the first teams out, and they would have been tied in the win column with Seattle had Seattle lost this game.
Right.
So being able to create more separation on in that regard, and then also keep pace with the 49ers, who just
Who won today?
they smoked the Jaguars. The Jaguars looked awful today. Lawrence was really
Yeah, and I
bad
think
today.
to that point, Ty, it's a reminder that though Seattle did get blown out in Baltimore against a really good Baltimore team, who, by
So
the
did
way,
the
lost to
Lions.
the what?
I was saying so did the Lions to that Ravens team. Well, like everyone
Yeah,
seems to be considering
exactly.
the Lions to be like a a contender. So
Well, and by the way, the Ravens lost to the Browns today, who
yeah,
Seattle beat, and
yeah.
ultimately, it's the NFL. Things can happen. You can have if you've got having a poor day and you never get it started. And the offense has been bad, but that was bad for all 4 quarters that game. Whereas
Yeah.
it hasn't been like that for a game. And their defense was sloppy in their details in a way that hadn't happened before, and was exposed pretty brutally by Baltimore. But it's happened to Jacksonville today against the 49ers. It will happen. I think for me, they're situated well at 6-3. They just need to kind of remember what happened to them defensively. Like I just don't understand how in the NFL, like details like the edge not man turning with that after it's happened once don't get like executing carried over. It's kind of nuts to me. Like and like coaching wise, and then similarly, I hope that they've found something on offense, but we still haven't seen this team play a complete game for all 4 quarters. Let alone have we seen them play a complete game for all 4 quarters on both sides of the ball at the same time. Like not even on. I mean, maybe defense has done it a tiny bit, probably not all 4 quarters. Maybe against the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants. I would say the Giants. They did.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but
also, on the flip side, in that game, they didn't play a complete game across the board. Like the offense struggled, and obviously there was the Geno injury and all that stuff to account
no,
for.
across the board definitely hasn't happened. And
Yeah,
I guess at week 9 you don't want that to happen yet. You want to peak at the playoffs, and Seattle could still be capable of doing that if health permitting, etc., etc.
I'm just like we got one more game to go before the massive stretch of the season. That's what I'm really looking forward to is seeing where this team actually truly stacks up against the Niners and the Cowboys. That's the real test. Like I mean the Ravens game, that can just be fluky, right? AFC, NFC opponent and all that stuff. But yeah, the Niners games are going to be, that's where the real data will come from.
Yep.
We'll see if they're real. But I think again, I mean, just looking at the playoff picture in general, they're a playoff team. I feel pretty good about saying.
I mean, the NFC is so bad as well. It would be really disappointing if they were not a playoff team. And
I mean, right now the
you'd sort of
7th seed is
question what went wrong.
Right now
and
the 7th seed is the Josh Dobbs Vikings. So
right. Yeah, it's just a complete wasteland. And it doesn't look like getting much better. Like I don't see. It's not like any of these teams are underperforming in the NFC. Like people thought the NFC was going to be bad coming into it, and they are. They are bad now. Yeah, the upcoming schedule, as pointed out by Devon's workshop, is brutal. It is at Rams versus 49ers on Thursday Night Football, at Cowboys, at 49ers. Is that right? That's nuts. And then versus Eagles. Yikes.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. So we're gonna. Yeah, I forgot that the Eagles game is right after that too. Yeah, so those 4 games, like we're gonna see if this team is real. Like we don't really need to speculate. There isn't really much time to speculate anymore. Like we're gonna find out if this team is real or not. But even if disaster strikes on that stretch, I have a hard time seeing them completely fall out of the playoff.
Well, like
picture.
if they'd be like 6 and 7 or 7 and 6. Like that's still
or 7 and 7. Yeah,
that's still a 6 seed or 7 seed, which is how poor the NFC is.
especially relative to how the rest of the conference is playing on the back end right now.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
it would be disappointing if they did that, because to me, what today's about is Geno Smith kind of getting the doubters off his back. The offense did look to find something, and I think Geno played about as well as you could in those circumstances. Like,
right.
people are gonna, people are probably gonna point at that nearly pick on the screen. Like, it's a screen. Howell almost did the same thing. If a defender reads it, it's a good job you're not throwing a pick. Like, it's the fact he didn't is fine. Like, I don't. I mean, maybe the tape shows him missing stuff. Personally, I think he did about as well as he could have done. There are concerning things which keep happening on both sides of football. New stuff emerging. But that's why this upcoming schedule, this upcoming stretch is really big, because if they don't correct them, they'll lose. So
right, yeah,
we'll find out.
But again, they're so talented. It goes back to the conversation that we had and what I was talking about right after they traded for Williams. Was that while there's, I think it's pretty safe to say that there is a gap between them and like the Eagles and the 49ers, etc. I think the gap is close enough where they can close that in a head-to-head matchup because of how talented they are. But they are talented enough to keep pace with any team in the NFC. But now we're gonna really put that to the test over the next few weeks. So I'm excited. I'm a little scared, but overall, looking forward to it. And we're gonna get some answers pretty soon.
Absolutely. Right. So finally, chat, if you've got any questions, please do ask them. Majombo asks, Matty, if you could choose one player from the Seahawks to acquire for the London Olympians, who would it be? Probably Kenneth Walker, because you could just give him the football all the time, and
he's gonna snatch every single ankle on that field.
I have some. I'm lucky to work with some talented athletes, but they're not in the NFL. And Kenneth Walker is in the NFL, and you could just, I mean, DK Metcalf as a quarterback. Yeah, that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Leonard Williams would be hilarious. Like having a defense with him, it would be so easy. Anyway. There you go.
Any other questions?
Hey, so many penalties we beat ourselves, says Jen. Hey, Jen, they won.
Yeah, they didn't beat anything, except
Reflect
for
the
the
Sun
Commanders.
Says, aren't we the most penalized team in the NFL? I don't think that's an issue. I think that means you're competing.
Hot take time from Matty F.
I
Brown.
think you would find generally that the most penalized teams are the best teams. If you're not committing penalties, then you're not pushing it to the edge. Oh, and by the way, the reaction to the Jamal Adams, when he got in the face of
the
player after the...
Who was that?
I don't know. Someone who he tackled a check down, he got in the face, and I tweeted out, I'm surprised he didn't get a taunting penalty. And I was, but the officials were letting them talk and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's football, and the fact he didn't get penalized, as I'd say, it's fine. Get over yourselves.
Yeah.
People just love to hate. There's so much on Twitter. There's so much hate.
Talk your shit, Jamal. Talk your shit.
Yeah. It's football. And Ty, you know what? I think the world would be a better place with just a bit more compassion.
Right. That's a pretty hot take. The F stands for fire takes.
Yeah. There you go. Geno Smith, 0.17 EPA per play. I think it's quite good.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
Majombo, no problem. That was a good question. But yeah, like the running backs just the guy who can carry the ball and is the most athletic player on the field generally is going to cause problems. Think about high school. Well, actually, high school's probably now they're throwing it all over the place, aren't they? But anyway, think about high school in the 90s.
Reflect the sun.
Oh.
We hit it at the same time. We're competing. You and I.
Haters back off.
Right. Back off, haters. MV Gino is back.
I'm going to have to Google what that means, though.
Sure.
Is that a meme?
Haters back up.
Any college players we're watching, Matthew? No. Not that degenerate, I'm afraid. I guess you could
love that safety from UW. number 7.
Number
you
7.
Love that guy. Yeah, you're a big number 7 on UW fan.
Yeah. I'm kind of I'm kind of rooting for UW.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see them do some things.
Right.
They are doing some things.
Mm-hmm.
The Pac-12 is interesting, but yeah, it's a bit. Matthew, the Illinois dude, the Illinois D-line guy. You'll know who I mean. Single digit. He's good. Johnny Newton, is it?
Right.
Good player.
That's a good player.
Good player. When we were watching Spoon, Griff and I were just like, "What on earth is this? This is."
Yeah, I think I've seen Griff talk about him a little bit. I'm not watching Illinois college football games, to be honest with you. So, any information that I have on Mr. Newton, it comes from a certain C Mike spin move person.
That's so your commitment is poor.
Very poor. But
all right, Ty, what do you want to plug?
I do a Mariners podcast.
What?
Do you
How
guys...
is the season going?
Shut up. Do you guys like the? I love you. Sorry. Do you guys like the Seattle Mariners? Huh? Show of hands here in the chat. Do you like the Seattle Mariners baseball organization? No one in the chat. Can't blame you.
I think 46% of the chat. 46% of the chat does like the Mariners.
I'm gonna tell you to shut up again.
Oh dear.
Shut up. Yeah. So, Locked On Mariners. We're doing podcasts over there 5 times a week. Subscribe if you haven't already. We love baseball over there. We're talking ball, and I feel like the Mariners are probably going to make a trade this week. Or
chat hates you. Look at the chat right now.
Yeah. Watch them 54% of the time. Good one. Yep. Yeah. So I think some stuff might happen this week. So head on over to Locked On Mariners. Subscribe, and you can get all the latest on what's going on with them.
There you go.
Great sales pitch by myself.
No, it is enjoyable though. Like, I don't envy your situation, but I actually think Ty is doing a great job of covering the Mariners off season. I like to listen. I don't know anything about baseball, but I do like to listen to Ty talk about various hypotheticals, which may or may not happen. That's hypothetical.
So all I have to talk about right now. Please, Jerry, please do something.
Do something.
I want something that I can actually sink my teeth into.
True.
And I want to try and delay Fan Fiction Friday as much as possible.
Yeah. Reflect the Sun asks, we're optimistic about the run defense. Yes. Yeah, but they've had the way that teams are starting to run the ball in shotgun, specifically against Seattle and involving the quarterback. So Arizona, Cleveland, Baltimore, Washington, only 14 times today. There are some problem plays that I don't know if structurally, like what Seattle runs, just it's not Like they found the weak point for it, and I'll probably post a cut up of some of that stuff. But ultimately, no scheme is perfect. Like no call is perfect. What Seattle can do, and they have in their system, is nickel bear fronts. And why they didn't use them against Baltimore is a bit unusual. They went into nickel base as a kind of alternative, but then other things like the details, that type of stuff, the sloppy stuff, that kind of crept in. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, I'm optimistic about it. Ultimately, it's this point in the season where, if you remember last year, it felt like they'd fixed the run defense after starting rubbish. And then with me in Germany, they decided to play a bunch of nickel.
Right.
The Buccaneers changed up their tendencies, ran the crap out of the ball on them out of shotgun. And then it was a complete mess down the stretch. So this is a really important point in the season for Seattle. A massively important point in the season where the sloppy details creeping in each week on defense, they need to get on top of them. Otherwise, they're in trouble. But yeah, I'm optimistic. Fine.
What would Ty do if we land Otani? I'll do the locked on intro in Japanese.
It's not going to happen, so don't worry about it.
Matty's right. He is right. He is.
I know baseball.
You do know ball. Yeah, you do know ball. Yeah, Matty F baseball over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the on the 0.0000001% chance that we land in a universe that where the Mariners sign Shohei Ohtani, I will do the I'll do the Locked On Mariners intro in Japanese.
I will show my so I will have a video out this week on the Seahawks something or other, a Seahawks player. Let me know who you want to see a breakdown of. I mean, there's a lot of viable candidates off the broadcast, but the tape does tell interesting tales, as it did with Jarek Reed a few weeks ago. But I mean, Conjay Diggs is in line with how he's been hitting from deep safety, although there was that disappointing tackle. Tyler Lockett had a great game, didn't he? DK Metcalf. Maybe Geno Smith, because he was balling out today and led the Seahawks down the field on those two big drives. And it might be time to kind of restake that Geno is a good quarterback again. It might be needed. The reaction
that was never not
weird.
The case.
And I'm going to have an article out on SeahawksOnTape.com on the root mix-ups that have been taking place in Seattle's offense, why that is, how damaging they are, and why they need to stop. I also still am working on the long run game article. The last few weeks, I need to kind of figure out how to land it, because it's a really long article and the kind of gun run game complicates it. I don't know if I just should write it about the first few weeks and then do the gun run quarterback thing as a part, like an addendum or something. I don't know. If you've got any thoughts on that, let me know in the chat as well.
Subscribe to Seahawks on Tape.com.
Like the video. Comment down below, 5-star reviews. Follow Ty at Dane Gonzalez. Follow me at Matty Brown. Yep. Follow the Twitter at Seattle Overload. Follow Griff at C-Mike Spin Move. Let him know that he enjoyed his break.
You love him like a gardener.
Yeah. Traction engine driver. Cabbage juggler.
Mailroom worker.
There you go. Thank you so much, chat. Great turnout. Remember, Pete Carroll in that cap. 3-0.